Ahoy, mateys! It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the Altar again, and this time we are here with Stark and Deckard of the Dread Crew of Oddwood. It is so great to be able to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here. I was just talking with Deckard before about how many people have called it the Dead Crew of Oddwood.
Dead Crew, Oddworld. We've got
Oddwood with G's.
Oddwood, yeah, all sorts of
Wow.
people just not reading.
It happens. There's no way, by the way, that I knew it was called the Dreadwood by your PR messaging me, letting me know that it's pronounced Dread Crew. It's not like I reached out to do this interview in the email and wrote in the subject Dead Crew. There's no way that happened. Shout out to Dave, by the way.
Wink, wink.
Exactly. But your latest album, or Treasure, as we call it in pirate metal terms, on Earth, Rust and Glory, is an absolute kick-ass album. Being that it was 8 years since the last full-length album, Lawful Evil, was this sort of like picking up where you left off after Lawful Evil, or was this meant to sort of signify a new beginning for Dread Crew?
In a way, it is picking up where we left off. We did begin the writing process for this album in 2018, I think, or maybe actually 2017, in November, actually, on our first European tour. We had like a lot of free time between shows to get some songwriting in. So, I mean, we began pretty shortly after Lawful Evil came out. And the writing was more or less done by 2019. And we did want to take it up. You know, we're always trying to push our boundaries of how hard and fast we can play these stupid instruments.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I just saw that we just lost Stark. I guess, like I said before, the internet on pirate ships isn't the best. So I think it's time for you guys to stop stealing gold and treasures and actually start, you know, maybe raid like a Spectrum store or something like that.
Yeah, start stealing broadband.
Yep. Exactly, but that does make for pretty funny breaking the fourth wall moments, because I don't know if you saw, but before his internet cut, I knew his internet was about to go because he just stalled like this for like a full minute. For a full minute, I'm not cropping that out. I just saw that he's coming back in. Yeah, normally I crop out those internet fuck-ups, but this is just adding to the charm.
Yeah.
But we'll wait for Stark to come back in. But while we wait for him to come back in, because I believe the last time I saw Dread Crew was actually, the last time I saw you guys, you were playing Tobacco Road, that little shithole like near Port Authority, and that was in like October of 2016. And that was, I think, the last album cycle. So it's great to see you guys coming back. And Stark, I was just telling Deckard here that maybe instead of hijacking gold and Treasure, maybe you guys should hijack a Spectrum store instead.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
How did you were using Spectrum?
Yep. If you could just turn your phone horizontally too, that would make the video much better. Hell yeah. Thank you.
There I am in 3D.
Yep. Hell yeah. But so with Rust and Glory, do you feel like this album is kind of circling back to what I asked before? Is this a new beginning? Did you like bring in new tricks and twists that we wouldn't see off of Lawful Evil or Heavy Mahogany or, you know, Rocktopus or any of those? Or is it going to very much continue in a similar vein?
I'd say it'll continue in a similar, slightly angrier and slightly bolder attitude than Lawful Evil.
Was there at all a vision that you guys had in mind? Because you mentioned, again, like, you know, 8 years since the last one, you worked on it for a little bit, put it aside, but like, was there at all like a vision that you were trying to achieve with this, whether it would be conceptually or musically, or was it a very improvisational songwriting process?
I would say we went in with a mindset of like more bangers and more like catchy choruses and stuff that our audiences could sing along to. And I hope that comes across.
Yeah.
Yes.
It will be.
Well, I was also wondering too, because being under the label of pirate metal, I normally like kind of like to stray away from like the whole genre debate, but it's inevitable that it's going to be part of an interview now. But like the term pirate metal, whether it would be you guys or Ailstorm, Visions of Atlantis, Swashbuckle, a lot of those. Do you feel that like pirate metal is very much like Viking metal in a way, or the way that they're calling bands like Glory Hammer or Galactic Empire space metal? You know what I mean? Like, it is like you guys sound like a pirate metal band, but I'm just wondering if there are elements that you wouldn't see in any of the bands I just mentioned that would still make it pirate. Like, I guess the better way, could a band sound like Slayer, but still be a pirate metal band?
Isn't
In
that
theme.
Buckle?
Yeah, basically. And Running Wild wasn't very pirate sounding, but they had a lot of pirate themed music.
Do you, when it comes to the whole pirate theme, though, is there any vestige of your own personal lives or your own personal experiences that serve as a subject matter behind this music, or do you kind of like just use Dread Crew as a more of an escapism?
For me, it's kind of a creative challenge to I'll write a lot of songs that are based on personal experience or a personal interest, but rewritten as a way that would work in the theme of pirates and Vikings.
How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
I would say my personal interest in music comes through, or tries to come through, in like the songwriting that I do. And that, like, I listen to a lot of melodic death metal and things that don't sound like the Dread Crew of Oddwood, and then I try to incorporate. I try to write songs that are kind of like that on mandolin, and then build from there. So,
well, I've noticed a pattern. You mentioned melodic death metal, so I've noticed a pattern. A lot of the people who are right now into At the Gates or Insomnium, Omnium Gatherum, a lot of those melodic death metal bands, they started off as metalcore fans. They were listening to the As I Lay Dyings and the Kill Switch Engages, you know, a lot of that. So they started with metalcore, moving on to melodic death metal, and then they morphed into folk metal, or the pirate themed metal. Do you think that there is sort of like a correlation in that way? Like, because I see so many differences between, like, you know, those Swedish melodic death metal bands than I would in a band of your style, but I've noticed that there's so much crossover between it.
I mean, there's crossover in the sense that all of them get you to bang your head until your neck is sore. I think that's the engaging factor for me. That's why I love all that music. I started off listening to punk mostly, and punk brings a lot of energy, but I think metalcore and melodic death metal, thrash metal, it's got that groove.
Yeah, it has the groove, but I noticed when I saw you guys at the Tobacco Road show in 2016, there was also not just headbanging, but it was dancing. It was like a heavy metal bar mitzvah in a way.
that's the name of our next album.
Oh, man.
Oh, do it.
But then we'll have to write a song called Heavy Metal Bar Mitzvah.
I know, but we have 2 album cycles to write that song, since it's not going to be on the album. Heavy metal.
That's true. That's true.
Fair enough.
So then we have to write the song first.
Well, did you guys think, because I feel like your album titles are like Rust and Glory and Lawful Evil sound very thought-provoking, they sound very metal, but I like the pun of like Rocktopus, for example, in a way. So where, like, I normally strain of what does the record name mean, but it seems like your names are both very thought-provoking and very humorous at the same time.
I mean, I can definitely speak to why Lawful Evil was chosen, because it was one of the stupid debates that we had of like, what is the alignment of our pirate crew? I was like, well, clearly Lawful Evil, we're pirates, we follow a code, but we also like murder and steal, and it's great. But then that sentiment was not shared with everyone else, and it was just a big argument, as you can tell in the song that we released a few weeks ago. So we chose it as an album title because it was something that we argued about and thought was fun.
The music that you have, because you guys have the best sense of humor in metal, some of the best senses of humor, but every band that has the humor behind it, I've noticed also, I think a lot of like very serious musicians get very angry. Take a band like Archspire, for example, a completely different style of music, but they are the funniest human beings I've ever met, and their music, the technical proficiency in their sound is almost unmatched. And I think the technical proficiency, like your music, is hard. you're playing instruments that you need to have like a special hand and heart and mind to play. The music is very well composed, but you guys are also hilarious. So, like, how do you sort of balance out the humor? Does the humor help the seriousness that goes into the songwriting?
Sorry.
No,
I can't see Deckard's camera, so I don't know if you're about to talk or not.
Oh, I see. You're on the phone. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the humor is something that's always been a part of the band and will always be a part of the band. I think there have been a few instances where we needed to like rein the humor back because it wasn't like, it didn't really serve the song, I guess, or does that make sense? Yeah, but I think like we're all doing this to have fun, and if we're not being funny and having fun, then why do it?
Well, that's why you make a black metal band.
Well, they're funny too.
to a degree. Yeah, I mean Abath. Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Right.
But
Brothers in beach crabbing.
Fair enough. Tropical black metal. I'm waiting for that genre to emerge. But do you feel that in a way, kind of going back to the escapism question that I was asking, do you feel that in a way you guys are portraying characters in a way, or is Deckard just an extension, or Stark an extension of who you personally are?
Through storytelling, I would say that they're created characters that have some features of who we are, just as like just to keep the humor alive, kind of like a personal Easter egg, I guess. But I wouldn't say that they are an extension of ourselves.
Do you feel like when you're in songwriting, because when we see you on stage, we're seeing the Dread Crew of Oddwood, and it's like an experience like that you aren't going to experience at any other show, but do you feel like you have to kind of put yourself in that same stage mind as you do when you're recording and songwriting or rehearsing?
No, I don't think so. We're all just a bunch of goofball idiots, and that translates into our pirate personas and Viking personas as well, I think.
I think we just do it live.
Yeah.
So
like even when we rehearse before, like we're gonna do at least a day or two of rehearsing for the upcoming tour with Tyr and Trollfest and Ether Realm. I don't see us like giving 100% of our performance until we're on stage in front of those people.
Yeah, I could just see a diehard fan of yours like seeing you guys backstage not in your visual attire, and it's almost like finding out Santa Claus isn't real, and then they just kind of like cry in a way.
Well, that's when we tell them that pirates are stupid, and
yeah, it's like, who's that dude?
Well, hey, you know what? I got to tell you, there's plenty of bands I've interviewed where they wear masks on stage or they have like their persona, and like the tour manager would go get them. Yeah, I'm gonna go get the guy for the interview, and then the guy comes to the dressing room. And like he goes, "Are you Alex? I'm here to do the interview." He goes, "Who the hell are you? I'm waiting for this guy." He goes, "No, that is me." And so
I often tell people if they're expecting Stark and I am not dressed in whatever Stark looks like that day, that I'm a Stark cosplay enthusiast, and that's the closest they're going to get right now.
So people are going to be very disappointed in this interview when they see, like, I mean, I was kind of expecting you guys to be in a persona on this interview. I was like bracing for it. I wasn't sure if I was just going to be talking like this was pirate themed and going along with your theme, or if I was going to be asking the type of questions that I am now, which is always the beauty of doing these types of interviews.
Yeah, we definitely don't take the nautical yar and such very, very seriously. And I mean, even in our live performance, we make jokes about it. I'll make pirate puns because it usually makes Wolfbeard really angry, and that's one of my goals every show is to get him to hate me. But like, yeah, we're not like, "What is up, me hearties? Are you ready to jig dance your sphincters into oblivion?"
Do you guys have to practice that too? Do you have to like rehearse? Like, does it almost feel like when you're playing on stage, there's almost sort of like a choreography involved?
Oh, there is choreography.
Yeah.
We'll give this one to Deckard.
Yeah. There is choreography. It's never. We've never like pre-choreographed it and been like, okay, let's practice this. But especially like a couple days into a tour, it becomes choreography, I guess. We're very interactive with each other on stage, and certain things work and certain things don't. So it'll be actually really fun to play some of these new songs live for the first time and see where these new choreographies come into play.
And I've always wondered this too, whether it's with you guys or an Elevite or a Corpaclani or any band that uses anything other than drums, electric guitars, and vocals or even keyboards, but you know, using like the whistles and the mandolin and like these orchestral elements and stuff, especially in the early days where you're playing like DIY clubs or whatever. Like, was that just an extra obstacle for the sound guy? And like how did you have to use like the house sound gear with the setup that you have?
You want to take that one, Deckard?
Well, we just had to yell into the microphones. I mean, yeah, it's really interesting. From our side of things, it feels like a very easy setup. Basically all of the instruments are just one XLR cable, and we have our own like DI, or the venue can provide a DI box, or we have our own like preamp pedal or whatever. But we don't use amplifiers. It all basically just goes straight into the soundboard, except the drum mics. But I think it's because these like rock and metal venues and bars too, like just are not used to these types of instruments. There's always feedback. It's a struggle for them to figure out what frequencies to cut and boost and find the right space for everything. And so it definitely has been a struggle live, but you know, then we talked to our fans and they're like, that show was fucking awesome. We were like, really? It sounded terrible. And they were like, we couldn't tell. Okay.
Hey, that's always a blessing in disguise, because I've always like wondered if maybe like when you're doing a touring venue, like you're about to do this tour with Tyr, so you know Tyr, they're playing, you know, you're coming to Gramercy Theater, which I live 4 blocks away from there, but like you know, playing at like Gramercy Theater, it's a 500 cap venue, you know, there's a great sound system there and has pretty much all the gear you need. But if you were to playing a place like Tobacco Road, where I saw you guys at, which you know where there's really a very primitive soundboard and hepatitis everywhere, I might add, like I was wondering, because that was a fun show, but I was wondering from a technical level how you were able to sort of pull off that sound.
I mean, hopefully we get a sound check.
What?
I said, hopefully we get a sound check. And those are things that we can address. Like, we've done it so often, or, you know, so many times, like, we kind of know what, you know, we have our mix notes and everything to give to the front of house ahead of time. And, like, hopefully that helps get us to a pretty good starting point.
Do you think, like, life would be easier if every show was like an acoustic show?
No.
It wouldn't.
Every show used to be an acoustic show when we played at Renaissance fairs. And, like, trying to yell over the drums to have the vocals be heard, or like having mandolin be heard over anything. Like, we definitely need a little bit of signal boost just so everything can be audible and that our throats and hands don't fall off from.
But playing a Renaissance fair versus playing on a tour at a metal show, has that always been a completely different Dread Crew experience for you guys as well? Like, does it feel like almost a completely separate atmosphere, or is a Dread Crew show a Dread Crew show?
Performance-wise, I think they're identical, more or less. Like, from us, like, we always went out there, give it 110%. But, I mean, atmosphere-wise, it's completely different at a rock club, and it's definitely nice to play one show in air conditioning instead of 4 shows in the blazing hot sun a day.
Well, then play at a summer festival and you get the best of both worlds.
Hey, we're down.
And I just have a few more questions regarding sort of like the subject matter, because one also common element I know with like a lot of pirate, Viking, whatever themed bands that there are, is that every album does tell a story. I wouldn't exactly consider Dread Crew albums to be concept albums per se, as they are more conceptual in a way, but like, do you try to sort of convey like a narrative or tell sort of like a story within the albums, or does every song kind of play by its own rules and have its own significant meaning?
I'll let Stark take that one.
All right. As an album telling a concept, that's not really our approach. We have some staples that we usually include. Like we usually have one medley of traditional music. Usually we fight some sort of stupid beast. Usually we commandeer at least one vessel. And then insert miscellaneous other hilarious antics that we do, and then we loosely tell a story that ties them together. Basically, we have those like things that I think our fans have come to expect in each album, and then we fill in the gaps with stories that we want to tell. And most of them are standalone. Some of them may or might not overlap. Like we've got a song on Rust and Glory, Lost Comrades, that's kind of like talking about all the crew members we've lost, over the past, how many albums do we have now? Just 6?
5.
5?
This is our 5th album.
This is our 5th album, or is it our 5th album? Which is kind of a standalone, but like could easily fit into the story because, we also fight a giant fucking demon crab in this album. So who knows? Maybe someone dies.
Oh wow! I'm excited to find out who.
Yeah.
Will you ever throw anybody overboard at the show at Gramercy Theater? You do have a volunteer.
Ooh, I mean, I'm down. If you really want to be thrown overboard,
As long as if I could crowd surf on the way out, but we'll see what happens.
well, if you give us your beer, then we will throw you overboard.
Give us your. I don't drink.
Well, it doesn't have to be like a beer that you drink. It just has to be a beer that you bought and then you give it to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. No. I'll do you one better. I'll steal a keg from the Gramercy Theater. I know the staff there. I can't promise
And
you.
we'll throw that overboard too.
I can't promise you it'll be good beer, but it will still be beer.
Yeah. That's the follow-up to give me your beers, give me your keg.
Yeah. Fair
And then it'll
enough.
be give me your bar.
But before we go, I want to thank you all so much for your time today, for an awesome conversation. And most of all, thank you for continuing to give us awesome, fun, and original new music as well. Just with Rust and Glory coming out, is there just anything else that you'd like to promote? I know you got the upcoming Tier Tour, but what else could we be expecting?
What can you be expecting? I don't know. We still got more music that we haven't released.
Wink. Oh, so we won't have to wait 8 years for the next Dread Crew album.
Well, I don't know. Because some of these songs we've had for about 4 years too. So
It was 8 years since Lawful Evil, and then there was 4 years between Lawful Evil and Heavy Mahogany, and 2 years between Heavy Mahogany and Rocktopus. So if we're fans of tradition, so I think our fans are going to wait 16 years.
Wow, you guys will be the Tool of pirate metal.
Yeah, we're definitely glad to be getting our steam back. There's all kinds of things we would love to be doing. We'd love to be, touring in the UK again and in Europe and doing summer festivals and all that stuff. But as of solid plans to do it, we don't have them.
Fair enough. Well, looking forward to seeing what that ever be. As pirates say, it's always about the journey, not the destination, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Live your life like a cork in the ocean, man.
There you go. Thank you. Or a cork in the Hudson River. But thank you all so much. Everybody, we are here with the Dread Crew of Oddwood. Be sure to check out Rust and Glory. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.